there, my name is Murray with my co-host Corey. We are The Real Guys, and this is The Real Show with 2 ears. This particular episode, we are going to follow up on a recent release blockbuster film by taking it all the way back to its first iteration. That's right, the first film in this popular film series. But as always, I'm calling my co-host Corey. How are you doing today, Corey?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good, it's good to see you. It's good to hear you today. So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing the first Jurassic Park, 1993.
Correct.
That's right, in response to the release of Jurassic World Dominion, the 6th film in the Jurassic World series, released here in the UK on the 10th of June 2022, so not far away, not many days ago.
No, exactly.
But the first thing we're going to do is, there's a tradition on The Real Show, is there not?
Yes.
Of us trying kooky foods, kooky drinks. We've tried yogurt bars.
Yep.
We've tried sparkling lemon water.
Correct.
Today, Corey's journeyed to Tesco's.
Co-op.
Co-op?
It was a co-op.
Oh, sorry. Did
it right.
Other corner retail food shops are available.
Yeah.
I swear you said Tesco's when before we started
I might have
recording.
done, but it was co-op.
Right. It was co-op. And he's retrieved for us. Can you describe this to me, Corey?
This is a ginger shot.
A shot of ginger.
It's a shot of ginger.
Pure ginger in a drink.
Yes.
It's not harmful at all. It's
Yes.
not like drinking bleach, is it?
No. It's
Oh.
a shot of ginger. We donate 1% of your sales to plant healthy air in UK cities.
Wonderful. So, looking at it, it's... First of all, the first thing that hits you is it smells very strongly of ginger.
Do you want me to give you the
Go ahead.
added tagline? I
Yes.
guess you'd call it. Ginger is nature's star player, and this shot gives it to you raw.
Raw.
Press from fresh ginger root for when life calls for a caffeine-free kick. Get ready, it packs a fiery punch.
Fiery.
Shot straight or add water or smoothies.
Right.
We are taking this straight
We're taking
because
this straight because we're hard boys.
it's the best way to do it.
That's right.
It's like you want coffee now, you want a shot of espresso.
A shot of, this is we're literally taking a shot of ginger-flavoured espresso.
Yes.
Here.
We're taking half a shot each. We split it in half.
Right, yeah, we're taking half a shot each. Right. So, let's describe it in colour, shall we? It's yellowish, creamy yellow, very strong smelling of ginger. Right, let's not put it off any longer, Corey.
This is revenge for you bringing in San Pellegrino last
Oh,
time.
that was good though. That was
No, it was not.
Good. Right, well, I'm going to hate this, I imagine.
Exactly.
Right, cheers. Right, down the whole thing or
Oh, don't know it.
the whole thing?
It's a shot, Murray.
Oh my God.
it's a big shot.
It is a big shot. I've had shots that are very smaller than this.
Yes, well,
It's like we're having this in sort of blue plastic cups, and it's
Yes.
at least a quarter of the cup.
yes.
So, right, we're going to cheers again.
Yep.
And in 3, 2, 1, down it.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Ah. My throat is on fire.
doesn't that give you full of life?
That's like drinking medicine.
What medicine have you been having?
Every breath is pain. This is... I feel like I should have drank this.
This is great.
I can't talk. You've disabled my... How can you take that like it's nothing?
I love. That's great. I love that. It's really good.
Oh, that's awful.
It's fantastic.
That's horrible.
That's awesome.
Oh, sorry.
This was my plan all along. It's now my show.
I've had to cough. I'm gonna be killed by drinking this ginger shot.
What's even better is I have another drink with me. You do not.
I've got water.
Oh, there you go. Wash it down. Go on. That's quite nice. I quite like that.
Okay, that's all right.
That's quite like that.
All right, now that's over with. That's like torture.
I mean,
I'm sorry, Corey.
that's what you want. You want
What
that.
psycho can drink that?
You want that fire in your throat to give you that oomph.
I've not got an oomph. I've got an I've got pain. I can still feel it at the back of my throat.
Yeah, it's great.
I can still feel the kickback.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm gonna have to take deep breaths here. Right. Okay. That was horrible.
Very
right.
nice.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't nice at all.
I condone it.
Well, I don't condone it. If anything happens to me after this, you know it was the ginger shot. I want to say on the record now that if anything happens to me after this recording, it was the ginger shot and it was Corey.
If
right?
Murray is replaced next week,
It was the ginger shot and it was Corey that did it to me. Okay.
I drank it as well. I'll be fine.
Are you sure? Show me your empty cup.
Throw it away.
Oh, you can't do that to me, Corey.
It's in the bin behind me.
You can't do that to me. You drank it as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Right. And you say you got it from the drink section. I don't
Yes.
want to be. I've drank like toilet cleaner.
It was next to all the drinks and the Fantas and the Coca-Colas and the Huel
Oh, I can still smell it.
and other various,
Chuck mine away as well.
you
while you're
know,
at it.
Yazoos and milkshakes and
Chuck mine away. Goodness.
all your other good stuff from your local shop.
From your local co-op, other shops are available.
Yes. You know. I'm surprised by your reaction to it.
I'm not. I've gone back to the water. Oh, I wish we had a face cam because my face scrunched up like a lemon at that.
That was really good.
Oh, that was not good. That was bitter. That was bitter.
I mean, it's raw ginger.
I didn't describe the taste because I was too overwhelmed by it at the time.
You see,
But
you
now
might
we're
have
out of it a bit. I can sort of.
you might have preferred it with water or in a smoothie.
Yes, maybe I would have.
Yes.
So we are going to be reviewing the 1993 American science fiction action dinosaur film, wonderful film, Jurassic Park.
Correct.
Everyone's seen it. Everyone and their mum's seen it. I recently caught it on other TV channels are available on Sky Movies. They were doing a marathon of all the Jurassic Park films for Dominion, and I managed to catch it on there.
Very nice.
When did you see it?
Well, so last time I would have seen this film would have been a couple of weeks back, I think, maybe.
Right.
I've seen it this year,
Yes.
so at least in the last 6 months.
Okay, great. Normally we watch films before we review them, but we had a slight communication breakdown earlier,
Yes.
and it turns out I wanted to do this film and Corey wanted to do something else. We may come to what Corey wanted later in the month, but for now it's Jurassic Park because Dominion's just come out. We want to hit that high, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Want to hit the high on the release of Dominion. You're looking forward to Dominion? You're going to go and see it?
I'm not going to go see it.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. So,
Spoilers. I like Jurassic Park, but I'm not the biggest fan of it.
right, okay. I like Jurassic Park, and I am a big fan of it. So, we're going to take on this. Now, this is, of course, based on the same novel by Michael Crichton from 1990.
Yes.
And Steven Spielberg anticipated this, and he jumped right on it. He said, I want to make a film immediately of this. And Universal, in fact, paid Michael Crichton $2 million for the rights to the novel before it was even published.
That's decent.
So they were right on it immediately. And, of course, Michael Crichton, creator of Westworld as well. He can create amazing worlds filled with characters and filled with iconography and stories and whatnot.
I mean,
I know he's not the greatest narrative creator in the world, obviously, because I think half of the Jurassic Park books is like a lot of computer diagrams.
have
a lot of
you?
maps
I'm going to hazard a guess. Like me, you haven't read the book.
Oh, I have.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, it's very different.
Okay.
The book is very different to the film. Actually, a lot of the fates of the characters change.
Okay.
There's more. The book's a lot more technical, I think, with the jargon of it all than how the film is. The film just does kind of gloss over it a bit.
There's not many films, but I've actually read the book and watched the film at the same time.
Really?
Only one I can think of is I've read the Hobbit books.
Yes, of course.
Well, the Hobbit book before the Hobbit films came out.
I did that as well. Because we all read the Hobbit books as kids, don't you? We all read.
I read it as a kid, but I didn't finish it as a kid.
Right.
I used to just pick a random page and read it.
Okay.
And then I watched the. So what I wanted to do
Corey
was
there forgetting how books work.
yes. What I was thinking, it's because we were forced to read in secondary school. So
You weren't forced to read. You were.
we were in English. We had to read for like 10 minutes every start of every single lesson.
Well, read the Hobbit then. Read the book.
No, I did, but I hated
When you've
reading.
read one page, what you do is, Corey, you turn the page over.
No,
and
but
on the other
I-
page, the narrative continues.
No,
You'll find
but
that it
I
carries on.
didn't like reading, so I just pick a random page because I wasn't bothered with it. I hated reading. I was just bought the book because I like Lord of the Rings.
Right. Okay.
And then I read the first Lord of the Rings book, but I'd already seen the film at that point.
Okay. Well, this is obviously based on a book by Michael Crichton,
Yes.
and it's the story of Isla Nublar, a island off Costa Rica, where wealthy billionaire InGen founder John Hammond brings. There's been a death at the park. He creates a theme park, and there's been one of the workers is killed by a Velociraptor at the start.
Yes.
And then the park investors invite Ian Malcolm, Alan Grant, Early Sattler, a group of premier top minds in the fields of paleontology, psychology, and botanist, being a botanist.
Yeah.
When you're good at plants, and mathematician and chaos theory proprietor Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum.
Correct.
As well, Alan Grant is Sam Neill, and Ellie Sattler is Laura Dern.
Yes.
Arrive with Donald Gennaro, who's the lawyer as well, who represents the investors, and he arrives to help inspect the park. So it's they get there, they get to sign off on the parks, on the safety of the park, on the accuracy of the park and whatnot.
Yes.
So when they get there, they take a tour to how the DNA works from the mosquitoes that would land in the tree sap and whatnot, and very active mosquitoes. There must have been a lot of dinosaurs back then. Not only from the Jurassic, but from the Cretaceous as well. Actually, Michael Crichton was actually asked, why is it called Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
When I think only 1 or 2 of the dinosaurs appear in the Jurassic, and there's the T-Rex, the Velociraptor, the Triceratops, all the big ones, are all from the Cretaceous. Why isn't it called Cretaceous Park?
I mean...
And Michael Crichton admitted that it was just the best looking design for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you go to a Ren fair, they're not set in a Renaissance period, but they're called Ren fairs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my version of
yes,
your argument.
Yeah, of course. Ren fair. Da, da,
Yeah.
da, da. Well, actually, it's not a Ren fair.
Yeah, it's not a Ren fair.
So, actually, you'll find that the Tyrannosaurus is from the Cretaceous period, not the Jurassic. So it's called Cretaceous Park.
Yes.
Da, 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 da. You know. But there was a lot of development in this film. This is one of the biggest films of the 1990s.
Yes.
And it's really helped because Steven Spielberg was an accomplished director. I'm working with Kathleen Kennedy and a really accomplished producer. And there was not only the story and the cast as well, but the development of the film. Michael Crichton initially conceived a screenplay about a graduate student who recreates a dinosaur from the DNA and whatnot. But then he sort of went with his fascination between cloning and sort of creating a genetic model of a dinosaur from that.
Yeah.
So, and then actually several screenplays, including a screenplay in October 1989, came around to become Jurassic Park. It was a really credible look at how dinosaurs, might someday be brought back alongside modern mankind. Going beyond the simple sort of monster movie of the time, like a Godzilla or a King Kong.
I mean, it's something that I think people are also... Because I don't know how many times every single year I hear that humans can possibly now clone a mammoth.
Or make a chicken into a dinosaur.
Yeah, because I keep it every single year. I keep hearing that. Like, we can now remake a mammoth. We're going to clone a mammoth or whatever.
So, to create the dinosaur, creating the attraction of the dinosaurs, do you want a bit of a behind-the-scenes
Go for it.
look? Spielberg initially thought of Bob Gurr, who was the mind behind the mechanical King Kong from Universal Studios Hollywood, the King Kong Encounter.
Makes sense.
The ride. Upon reflection, he thought that a life-size dinosaur would A, be too expensive, and B, not at all convincing.
Okay.
So instead he sought the best special effects supervisors in Hollywood.
Yes.
He brought in Stan Winston, a very famous special effects creator. I know him from his amazing practical work and costumes and suits and animatronics to create the animatronic dinosaurs. As well, he made the Velociraptor suits. Like there's suits of the Velociraptor. Like there's a man in sort of hunched over that is activating the suit. You see it in the very famous kitchen scene where it pushes the door open and it stands up to full height in the doorway. That's one of the Stan Winston Velociraptor suits there.
Yeah.
Also, Phil Tippett, you will be known as, who is credited famously as Dinosaur Supervisor in the credits. And there's a bit of an internet meme where Phil Tippett didn't do his job very correctly because the dinosaurs were not supervised in the film. So he originally created something called Go Motion dinosaurs, which is like stop motion. Yeah. Like claymation models that would move on a track and whatnot.
It's an interesting concept.
For long shots, yeah. And this thing made for long shots.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you wouldn't want it close-ups.
Well, yeah, well, here's the thing about that. They based them on sort of bird movements.
Okay.
Very little in common with lizards, and that initially prompted the removal of sort of the Velociraptors who had sort of flicking tongues in early animatics.
Yeah.
They removed them because they weren't like snakes. As famous paleontologist Jack Horner, who has sort of become the bane of the paleontological community by now, via sort of very wild theories on T-Rex effectively being sort of not an efficient hunter but a fat oaf.
Yeah.
And the fact that several species of dinosaurs may not in fact exist because they're in fact only evolutional regressions of previous species that we already know.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as a species called Nanotyrannus, which is not in fact its own species and just in fact a juvenile version of a T-Rex. Just like that. Jack Horner's been sort of shunned from the paleontological community due to his views, but at the time he was considered somewhat accurate. So, as Horner complained that it was flicking tongues on a raptor was implausible. But what they did was Winston's department created fully detailed models of the dinosaurs while molding sort of latex skins and suits and stuff over it, over complex robotics. And while Tippett created stop motion animations for the raptors and the Tyrannosaurus, there was attempts to ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, as you know, the creation of Star Wars in 1977. ILM was established. ILM animators Mark Dippy and Steve Williams were actually hired to put motion blur on the stop motion dinosaurs so they look more realistic, right? And to cover sort of the jankiness of the stop motion, right? But then they were told explicitly, do not create a CGI model of these animals, right? Do not create a CGI model of the dinosaurs, even though they both knew it would work better. But so what they did was they made a computer-generated model instead. They did it anyway, and they made a computer-generated walk cycle for the Tyrannosaurus skeleton and for the flesh on top and whatnot. And then Kathleen Kennedy was walking by one day, and they sort of set up this animatic running, and she saw it and she thought, hold on, we can use this. This looks much better than our stop motion. And then Spielberg came round and he loved it. He saw the CGI and he wanted to use it because it looked, real and it moved and there was things they could do with it. So it looked much better than this janky sort of stop motion. And this film was mostly known as the death of stop motion in film.
Okay.
In replacement of CGI.
Yes.
So they saw an animatic of Spielberg and Phil Tippett saw an animatic of the T-Rex chasing the herd of Gallimimus in animation in CGI. And Spielberg famously said, "You're out of a job." To which Tippett replied, "Don't you mean extinct?" And that was sort of known as the line of the hold on, like you've already put us all out of business. You put the whole thing out of business. So. And Spielberg later actually put this dialogue into the script in a conversation between Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant. So, which I thought was quite funny. But even though no stop motion was used, Tippett and his animators were still hired by the production to supervise the dinosaurs' movement and act for a consultant on like dinosaur anatomy and how they'd move in the stop motion was similar to how they actually moved in the scenes. So, and even though most of his stop motion animators were retrained as computer animators, instead of work with stop motion to instead work with the CGI dinosaurs. Right. So, and then most of his storyboards that he made for stop motion were still used as detailing for the production and the movements of the dinosaurs themselves. So, and then ILM's artists were actually taking on a lot of private tours of local animal parks for rhinos, elephants, alligators, giraffes, birds, just to see how they'd move and how the large animals would move around, so they'd know what to look at. Right.
It makes sense.
And Universal paid Michael Crichton a further $500,000 to adapt his own novel into a screenplay. Right?
Okay.
Which he had finished by the time Spielberg was filming Hook at the time.
Nice.
So Crichton noted that because the book was fairly long, his script had to be about 10 to 20% of the novel's content, so scenes were dropped for budgetary and practical reasons.
Yeah.
And a lot of the violence was toned down. So, and there's a script rewrite in 1991 over a 5-month period, and actually managed to merge some of the characters together because some of the characters are vastly different in the book, so they've had to change them and make them a bit more tolerable for films, right? So and several scenes were actually moved into the sequel. 2 scenes from the book were explicitly moved. One of the scenes with a Compsognathus, if you know what that is, it's a little tiny little dinosaur that runs around on 2 legs. They go around in gangs. So there was a Compsognathus sequence at the start about them attacking a young child who goes to Isla Nublar. That was moved to the sequel, and that was the opening scene of The Lost World. And then there was a scene where Alan Grant and the kids are chased down a river by the T-Rex, and that was removed as well. And instead it was sort of replaced with the Jeep chase instead. So,
I mean, that's still a pretty good sequence.
Yes. It was still a pretty good sequence. And the film itself is absolutely fantastic. The amount of creative marvels they did. Yeah. And the amount of managing stuff they managed to create and all the sets and all the CGI models. And the fact why Jurassic Park is praised so well for its use of practical and CGI is the fact they blend it together. The fact that from far away the T-Rex is CGI, but when it gets up close to the Jeep at the start and the eye goes small and it moves its head and you see it sort of rearing up over because they made the entire T-Rex like chest.
Yeah.
They made leg, the head, the big bull head, and the huge chest of it, right, and the big body, and it was sort of moved around. And the fact they were using rain and real rain would mean that it would sort of jut up. It'd malfunction sometimes, and its head would sort of move unnaturally, which I thought was because it made it a lot scarier.
I do remember hearing about, I can't remember where I heard it, it was somewhere, about the fact that I think people were talking about Jurassic Park, and they said that the one job they did not want was the guy who had to essentially go and fix that animatronic, because he would have to like go inside it and dry it off or clean it.
Yeah, they were like whacking it with towels. I saw the scenes, they were like trying to clean it off with towels and dry it.
Because obviously there's that one scene where like it's in the rain.
Yeah.
And it will just get covered, and it will just, because it's still metal and it's
metal,
electronics.
It's only covered by like latex and skin and stuff like that. And due to the rain, it had malfunction. Kathleen Kennedy was even quoted as saying that the T-Rex often would go into the heebie-jeebies sometimes. It'd scare the crap out of us because they'd be like eating lunch, and all of a sudden the T-Rex would just come alive and start shaking and moving around. And at first we didn't know what was happening, and then suddenly we realised it was the rain. So you'd hear people start screaming from the other room because the T-Rex is having a seizure.
I mean, it's also early on, I guess, for that sort of stuff. This is, at least in most people's heads, or at least when it comes to film, the first time you have that massive animatronic on that kind of scale
on the set. Yeah, exactly. So what happened was when the audience first sees, around the 1 hour 3 minute mark, in that very famous scene where the audience first sees the T-Rex come out of the fence, Steven Spielberg wanted it shot from inside the SUVs, from inside the Jeep, so you could feel like you're experiencing it right with the characters.
Yeah.
And feeling the feel when the Lex and Tim are inside the car and the head comes down and it's moving slowly towards away from the car, and that's like, it's the tension. You feel a pin drop, and even like the water down to the water. You know, I'm doing it with a little bottle right now. You can sort of see the little ripples. It's like when it's stomping.
Do you want a ginger bag?
No, I don't want the ginger bag. And even those details are great. Even down to the detail of, again, like the way the eye gets small and stuff like that, and the raptors, the fact they sort of have a spat with each other often. They'll like sort of go after each other a bit, and they'll go, right, okay, we're on the same side. You know, we're both raptors. So a fun detail is that the main Velociraptor in this one, the one that Robert Muldoon calls the big one, doesn't actually kill or eat anybody.
Oh.
It only kills people for fun.
Oh.
It doesn't actually eat anyone. So it's only like ordering other raptors to do it instead.
Great.
So, yes, and it's obviously, and apparently, as a statistic here says, only 11% of the film is dedicated to dinosaur scenes.
You know what? In some weird way, that does not surprise me.
Yes, and despite his prominent billing, actor B.D. Wong was only in 2 minutes of this film.
Nice.
And he's the only person to reprise his role in Jurassic World, and come back for that Jurassic World 2015. And however, B.D. Wong and Jeff Goldblum both reprised their role for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Yes.
But everyone is back in this. Everyone is back in Dominion.
Yeah.
The whole original cast are back, and including B.D. Wong, who plays Dr. Henry Wu, who is the lead scientist at Isla Nublar.
Yes. Oh well, yeah. At least everyone who I've not seen.
Really?
I don't know much about Dominion either.
Oh right, okay. Well,
have you seen any of the Jurassic Worlds?
Yes, I've seen all of them.
Okay.
I've seen every Jurassic film.
Every Jurassic film.
Every Jurassic film.
Every film about the Jurassic period.
Jurassic Park 2, Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion. Well, I'm going to see Jurassic World Dominion. So, there's that as well. And there was, of course, a lot of references to other films by the actors, like Jeff Goldblum says, "Must go faster," while being chased by the T-Rex, which is the same line Independence Day, which is in 1996. And there's the late, great Richard Attenborough.
Correct.
Who can forget as John Hammond, who really plays it like, he's just a warm man, he's just a happy man who wants to make this wonderful park for everybody. Then everything goes horribly wrong. Yeah. Initially, he was described by Michael Crichton as like a dark Walt Disney. But they sort of turned it up into like him being like, sort of a fatherly figure, and more of like someone who wants to create more of like The Greatest Showman. Yeah. Like someone who wants to bring dinosaurs to the masses. This film, which I always overlook, but I always go back to now when I was a kid, is the scene where they're looking at like a slideshow and they're all having dinner and sat on the table, and they have a really deep discussion about the plants, of how the plants are different and they could affect the dinosaurs, the whole chaos theory that Ian Malcolm is talking about, and then he says that, you know, dinosaurs weren't eradicated by the building of a dam or by deforestation. They were taken out by a meteor, and that's like it's over for them.
Yeah.
And they're not coming back, and should we bring them back? Because Richard Attenborough's character, John Hammond, says, well, if I made like a flock of extinct birds on this island, you wouldn't be saying anything. And he said, well, you know, they aren't dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they had their shot to carry on, and they were removed. So there we go, and that was a great scene. I always go back to that scene, actually. Even though when I was a kid, obviously, what you want to do is you want to watch the dinosaurs. So
Yeah.
you go, I skip that scene. It's boring. People are talking.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see a dinosaur.
I want a big T-Rex.
Yeah, you want the big T-Rex.
I want a big T-Rex.
So you want the big T-Rex. You want the Velociraptors, who actually aren't Velociraptors.
No, because Velociraptors have feathers, don't they?
Have feathers, and they're much smaller. They're about the size of a
Yeah.
turkey. They're not as big as, you know, towering over a man like these are.
Yeah.
These are more closely related to Deinonychus and Utahraptor.
Yeah.
But however, Utahraptor was actually discovered right before the film's release.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate timing.
And it had similar height to these raptors. So, and it's funny because Stan Winston joked that they made it sort of in the image of Utahraptor before Utahraptor was actually discovered.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they made it and then they discovered it, and it still boggles the mind of many involved. So. And then, even though I feel like there's a great video as well, there's a great YouTube video about the discovery of Utahraptor and how that was sort of, and it was in the Hell's Creek Formation in Utah, which is one of the biggest sort of famous dinosaur discovery sites in the entire world. So, and several years after the film was actually released, there was discovered due to fossil impressions that Velociraptors were actually feathered.
Yep.
So implying that sort of Alan Grant was right the whole time, that they shared common ancestors with birds.
Yes.
More than lizards. So, and even though they say that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park do look dissimilar, they explain that by saying the genetic structure wasn't entirely pure, so they had to fill it in with stuff. And they mentioned filling it in with frogs. And Alan Grant says that certain West African frogs can actually change sex from female to male or male to female in a single sex environment.
Yes.
Because they were all girls.
Yes.
So all the dinosaurs were all girls, so they could neuter them. So or to dig out their eggs so they couldn't breed.
Yes.
However, they managed to change sex because they were all around each other and they were with frog DNA.
Yeah.
So that's what happened as well. And that's again the explanation behind Indominus Rex from Jurassic World. The fact that they filled in the genes to make this sort of hybrid dinosaur. And even though the action in this film, let's actually talk about the action.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Dilophosaurus. You like a Dilophosaurus?
Which one's the Dilophosaurus?
That's the one with the big frill.
Oops. Oh, the weird, like the.
Yes.
That's the best way I can.
Yeah, that's how that's what does that. You know?
That one.
Even though in real life it doesn't have the frill, it just has the crest.
Okay.
And they sort of took the frill as a creative liberty, and now the frill has become so iconic that it is now turned up in other media, including supposedly accurate media, where the frill does not actually not exist on this dinosaur.
Yeah. See, I know what it looks like without it.
Yes.
Yeah. There
and
it is.
spitting and the ability to spit venom was actually made up by Michael Crichton.
Okay.
So it didn't actually do that either. So, and it's mistakenly thought that in the 20th century, scientists mistakenly thought that Dilophosaurus had sort of weak jaws due to the animal's sort of incomplete, very distorted, and sort of badly reconstructed fossil skull.
Yeah.
And many thought that it wouldn't have killed its prey with its jaws.
Right. Okay.
And there was a lot of theories that it sort of took the theory of spitting venom from like snakes and sort of Gila monsters and stuff like that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, so then it uses venom to hunt. So
it makes sense, I guess, kind of.
And then people believe that dinosaurs would actually behave a lot differently than they would have done if you're studying their bones.
Yeah.
So obviously they wouldn't have known how it would have hunted. So
that is true.
Yeah. Around 31 minutes into this film is Jeff Goldblum's favourite line, which is "Life finds a way."
I like how you have that up as a fact.
There we go. I'm just dropping facts. I'll just drop facts about this film. But you know who's the unresolved hero of this whole thing?
Wayne
of this
Knight.
whole film. It is Wayne Knight.
Yep.
It is Dennis Nedry, Wayne Knight, because he's just a guy who wants his money.
Yeah.
He just wants to get paid. And what happened was, at the start of this film, InGen, who was Hammond's company,
Yeah.
there was a bidding war over lead programmer for the island of Isla Nublar for Jurassic Park, and he won that bidding war, but he realised he was effectively thrown in the creek without a paddle.
Pretty much.
And had so much to do that he couldn't, because all the systems were down. There was the spared no expense. No expense was spared, but apparently a lot of expense had been spared.
Yeah.
Right? There was things were just no one was running anything. All the systems were down. It was horrible. He had to do weeks and months of programming to try and get it even up to decency. Right? In fact, he one day just thought, I don't want to do this anymore, and he wanted to leave and get some decent pay, some decent money. So then he fell in with a company called Biosyn, who actually do appear in Dominion, who haven't appeared since.
Oh, okay.
And negotiate with a person called Dodgson. And you know Dodgson. We've got Dodgson here. You know. And he's got the the can, the shaving cream can that turned into the dinosaur embryo sort of a device. And even though that's not been brought up, there was plans to actually introduce that in the sequel, because you see him sort of fly out of his hand when he's attacked by the Dilophosaurus, and it flies into the mud, and we don't see where it goes. There was actually plans to reintroduce that in a sequel, but that wasn't actually that never actually came to be. And it was actually recently brought up again in a Netflix series called Jurassic World: Camp Cretaceous.
Oh, okay.
They actually reintroduced the Barbasol can there.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's meant to be sort of a prequel to Jurassic World or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Set between 3 and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Oh.
So.
Fair enough.
I think it's about the re-establishing of sort of a place on Isla Nublar and sort of the creation of Jurassic World.
Oh, okay.
It's an animated show, but, you know.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Now I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's got 5-6 seasons, something like that.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah, and the Barbasol can does appear again in that. So we do have to know what happened to Dennis Nedry. You know, he didn't survive, obviously.
No.
He was killed by the Dilophosaurus.
He is indeed. Unfortunately.
And another hero of this film, unsung hero of this film, is Robert Muldoon. I think the actor's name is, I want to say his name's Robert Park, Bob Park.
Where's Wikipedia?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Where is it?
No, Bob Peck, sorry.
There you go.
Bob Peck. So, you know, very famous English actor for, you know, Edge of Darkness, and he is a guy who knows his dinosaurs, knows his raptors, and he's going around with his shotgun and his hat, and that look inspired me for years upon end.
Really?
I was when I was in my amateur theatre group a long time ago, more than 10 years ago, when I was a kid. We did something about a circus or whatever.
Okay.
Right. We did like a play about a circus, and I was the elephant trainer, and I based my look off Bob Peck in Jurassic Park. I had like the khaki shorts. I had the white shirt and the vest and the camouflage like hat with the thing on the side, and I had like a rifle, and I was like, and I did his sort of voice, and I was like, clever girl. So that was me. I based my look off Robert Muldoon.
Great.
So because I thought he was the coolest character. Because he was like the action man going around with the guns and stuff, and I was like, I want to be him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess so.
Going around with this double-barreled shotgun, you know. And I really like, and that scene's amazing where he's lining up the raptor and it's coming through the trees, and he even talks about it. He says at the start when he's talking to Alan Grant, he's talking about how they hunt. They'll have one down as a decoy, and they'll come from the side, and it happens to him. So
yeah.
It's great, and I think he's probably my favourite character. And if not, then it's Ray Arnold. You know Ray Arnold? You'll know him.
Fill me in.
You'll know him on who Ray Arnold is.
Fill me in.
Right, just look him up.
I mean, I just what I'm doing now. I'm getting here.
Alright, okay. Look up who's Ray Arnold in Jurassic Park.
Ray Arnold. Oh.
It's,
okay.
It's friend of the show.
Yeah, I forgot he's in this.
Sizzly Sam Jackson.
I forgot he's in this.
There's too many dinosaurs on this island, you know. Get these dinosaurs off this island, you know.
I forgot about that.
And he's surprisingly subdued
throughout
this film, to one point where he just seems to explode into Samuel L. Jackson full mode.
Yeah.
Right? He's talking about, like, the Lysine contingency or whatever. He's talking about like, oh, we can't get the dinosaurs off the island because we can't shut it down or whatever. And he seems very subdued the whole way through. Until one point, he just goes, oh, he's messing up the system. I can't deal with all of this, you know. And then he goes off to the technical bunker and gets his arm ripped off.
Yes.
And even though Samuel L. Jackson has said that he thinks Ray Arnold's alive.
Yeah, but
I think Ray Arnold is going around with one arm riding raptors.
Yeah, but Samuel Jackson thinks like all of his characters are alive.
Yeah, alive. Yeah, I'm still alive. It's like Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like somehow every single one of his characters are alive.
Mace Windu's alive.
Yeah.
You know, it's every one of these Samuel L. Jackson players is actually alive.
Somehow survives.
You know, yeah, somehow survives. I think Samuel L. Jackson is. I think he's, yeah.
It's written in his contract. Even if I die, I'm not.
I'm not dead.
I'm alive.
You know, and
I cannot die on screen. I must.
No, exactly. Even though, yeah. Sorry, it wasn't Deep Blue Sea. It was The Negotiator.
There you go.
1998. Where Samuel, I know Kevin Spacey's on the radio, and Samuel L. Jackson goes, "I'm still alive." You know. So, I like that. Yeah, we were big fans of Sam Jackson here.
Correct.
Big fans of Sam Jackson. What do we call him?
Sizzly Sam.
Sizzling Sam Jackson, because he's filled with a lot of sizzle.
Yes.
Right. Do you know where that started? I don't think I know where that started.
It started because we were talking about Shaft.
Yeah.
And you read a review saying the film lacks sizzle.
Lacks sizzle, and we thought it couldn't have been Samuel L. Jackson's Shaft in 2000.
Yeah, because
Samuel L. Jackson's full of sizzle.
He's full of sizzle.
Exactly. And there's nobody quite like Sizzling Sam Jackson.
Exactly.
Or Sizzly Sam Jackson. So we know he's full of sizzle. So, and he is full of sizzle in this as well.
Very much full of sizzle.
You know, he's quite subdued, but great cigarette acting.
Yes.
You know, he's doing it. He's putting it in his mouth. He's moving it here. He's doing it there. You know, a lot of good cigarette acting from Sam Jackson there. And it turns out there's actually an action figure of Ray Arnold where his arm is removable. So there you go. You can recreate the famous scene where.
Nice.
Where Ellie Sattler gets into the bunker and she's got the arm. She's like, "Oh, Mr. Arnold, it's you." And she turns around. It's just his arm. And then the raptor jumps through the door and she has to run. And she runs like this.
Yeah.
A lot of arm movement, with Laura Dern. So, and I was watching an interview about this with the original cast.
Interesting.
With Jeff Goldblum.
Was it like a reunion thing or was it just an interview?
It was from Vanity Fair, I believe. It was to do with Dominion.
Okay.
And it was Ellie Sattler, Laura Dern, and Sam. I'd about to call him. It's Sam Neill. Yeah, I'd about to call him Sam Grant there. Sam Neill, actually, was there as well. And they were talking about playing their characters in the new film and also the actual creation of 1993 Jurassic Park. And I feel like it was a lot like. I know I compare everything to Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's a lot like 1977 Star Wars. I felt like that. These were all very unknown actors. Obviously, Jeff Goldblum had done The Fly and stuff, and. Even though Sam Neill and Laura Dern were sort of very unknown. Sam Neill was Australian, New Zealand, I'm going to think he is.
Yeah.
Actor, and he came in to do this, and yes, he is New Zealand, sorry. Yep. He is a New Zealander, a Kiwi. So he was unknown before doing this. Had done a few small roles, and so was Laura Dern.
Yeah.
And they had the sort of, the recognisable, aged sort of British actor, similar to how Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan, and we have great Richard Attenborough as John Hammond.
Correct.
And we have Ray Arnold, who is sort of Samuel L. Jackson, another recognisable name in the 1990s, and he's in this as well. And he sort of fills in that sort of actor you go, oh, you look at there's Sam Jackson, I know him, And Wayne Knight as well was very big as well. I always loved Third Rock from the Sun, a big Wayne Knight fan. So, and still, this is one of those films that become a real classic.
Yes.
It becomes a real classic, and I said I'm also a big fan of the effects and some of the great stuff in this, and even like Seinfeld.
Yes.
Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, Newman was a really good. I'm a big Wayne Knight fan, but. Still, we've got and the range of dinosaurs. If you actually look at the Wikipedia article for this film, which I've sort of been perusing as we've been talking about this,
yes,
we've got there's a section here called Dinosaurs on Screen.
I have it up now.
And see also Dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. So
Nice.
there's a list of everyone that appears on this one. There is an Alamosaurus, which is a type of, that's one of the two skeletons in the visitor center with the T-Rex. It is a sauropod, which is the big long-necked ones.
Yeah.
Brachiosaurus, very famous long-necked dinosaurs. They actually used whale songs and donkey calls to give them their melodic sense of wonder.
Nice.
So there we go. Dilophosaurus, of course, appears in this, as well as Gallimimus, or Gallimimus,
Yeah.
whichever you want to call it. I knew Ornithomimus, which is a relative of Gallimimus. I knew that from Nigel Marvin's Prehistoric Park.
Nice.
No relation to Jurassic Park.
No, definitely not.
Then Parasaurolophus appears for only one scene in the background of when Alan Grant is looking to the herd and he goes, "They move in herds."
Yeah.
They do move in herds. Like that, which I thought was a bit of a dumb line, but okay.
Yeah.
The Parasaurolophus are seen in a herd moving towards the water with the Brachiosaurus when they look out over the vast vista and it goes da 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 like that.
Nice
know?
butchering of the theme.
Exactly.
By the way.
Yeah, I almost did that on purpose. Then Triceratops has what's called an extended cameo, where he's a supporting actor.
I was going to say, we're talking like with the real people.
Yeah. Triceratops as himself. It's that very famous picture where Steven Spielberg is sitting next to the animatronic.
Yeah.
And people are saying like it's like he's a dentist next to all that shot lion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, what a horrible man! He shot this innocent animal. It's like it's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's fake. He's Steven Spielberg. And apparently his appearance was a logistical nightmare for Stan Winston.
Yeah.
Because the model was operated by 8 puppeteers on the set, and it was the first dinosaur that was filmed in production. And there was also created a baby Triceratops for the same scene, but it was actually cut for this from the film. So, and you know what? Who was played the Triceratops? A guy called Gary Ridstrom, who works for Skywalker Sound for ILM. He actually the sound of himself breathing through a cardboard tube with cows nearby.
Okay.
So
sure.
There you go.
It's one way of doing it.
Exactly, to create the vocals for the Triceratops. Then we have the T-Rex, of course, the Tyrannosaurus, acknowledged by Steven Spielberg as the real star of the film.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, the whole film was rewritten for the T-Rex just so he could appear at the end, because out of nowhere, because he just activated his stealth feature.
Yes.
He activated his cloaking device.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see him or hear him when he was coming in.
Exactly.
So. And even though people have said maybe the T-Rex was had DNA blurred with a chameleon, so he could sort of disguise himself and you wouldn't know when he was, because you can't hear him coming.
Yeah.
The raptors are about to attack the Grant and Sattler and the kids, right? And the T-Rex just swoops in out of nowhere. It's massive head comes in and bites one of the raptors and you go, well, where did he come from? Didn't you hear him coming in? Didn't you see him? But okay.
It's fine.
Yes, and. The animatronic of the T-Rex was in fact 6 meters, 20 feet tall, and over 17,000 pounds.
Jeez.
So that's like 7,000 kg.
Yeah.
7,000 kg, I think, and 12 meters or 40 feet long. Right. And Jack Horner said it's the closest thing I've ever seen to being near a live dinosaur.
I mean, yeah.
So it was massive. It had. There was disagreements on its running capabilities and whether Steve Williams, an animator, said he tried to throw physics out the window and create a T-Rex that moved at 60 miles an hour, even though it had hollow bones, would have busted if it ran that fast. And it's top heavy, so it would have fallen.
Yeah, it would have done.
And they say they clocked it at 30 miles an hour, which is a more accurate of how fast it could run. Instead of 60 to catch up with this Jeep that's going as fast as it can.
I mean, that's still pretty darn fast.
And then we have the Velociraptors.
Yes.
Of course, not ultimately based on the actual dinosaurs in question, which is simply smaller and feathered. It was shot before Jurassic Park's theatrical release. The Utahraptor was discovered. Of course, it's close to the Deinonychus as well, which is another genus of raptor. So, and then the raptors were, of course, played by men in suits and animatronics, and the sounds they made were a mix of dolphin screams, walrus bellowing, and geese hissing.
Nice.
So there you go. Tortoises were involved. There were loads of stuff. An African crane's mating call was involved as well. So a lot of sounds that go into actually creating the sounds of these dinosaurs, you wouldn't know how to actually
No.
what they sounded like.
Well, no.
So then we have they're related to the Dromaeosaurids, which is Velociraptor, and of course I mentioned Deinonychus.
Yes.
So, and then feathered dinosaurs do actually appear. Feathered raptors do appear. They're going to appear in Dominion for the Pyroraptor, has feathers, and also the Velociraptors, who may actually be Deinonychuses in Jurassic Park 3, do have feathers on their heads.
Fair enough.
There we go. They eventually were feathered.
Yes.
And of course the great music. How can we forget the music of Jurassic Park?
Yes.
By the great John Williams.
Correct.
The one of the most famous composers ever, and a great relationship with Steven Spielberg.
I mean, I would argue there's only really two composers that are as big as him. There's him and there's Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
It's John Williams and Hans Zimmer. They create the greatest of themes.
Yeah.
For Jurassic Park, Jaws, Star Wars, all the greats.
Yeah.
So, and John Williams again busts it out of the park. Not only with the suspenseful themes of the T-Rex and the raptors in the kitchen, but also the Jurassic Park theme itself, replicated many times on this show by yours truly. So there we are. And anything else you'd like to mention?
It's just a really good film.
Yeah, it is. It's really great. We've already reviewed it, so we can't really give it a rating of itself. But I'm gonna slap a 9.
I was gonna go an 8.5. So.
Okay. What, a bit lower, not because you've seen it in a while, or?
It's good, and I enjoy it.
If you'd seen it yesterday, you may have in fact given it a higher rating.
Yeah, but then is that a good thing? Because I've given it time to settle down.
Okay.
See.
Whereas I watched it like last week.
Yeah, it's like when you go watch like a new Marvel film. It's the best Marvel film, and you leave it like 2 weeks, and like actually it was alright.
It was okay, not as good as Iron Man.
Yeah.
So.
Iron Man, that's the one you pull out the bag.
But it's the first Marvel film ever.
It's not the best.
John Favreau, Iron Man, yeah. It was not as good as Avengers Infinity War or
there
whatever,
you go.
Right?
That's better.
So, okay. Well, that is the first Jurassic Park.
Correct.
1993. And we may review Dominion eventually.
Possibly.
We're around to doing Dominion, even though you say you're not going to watch it.
Yes.
We'll at least do Jurassic World, or we'll do one of the other ones,
yeah.
okay? One which is available for Corey to watch. And what is the weekly rec this week that we have rated? Is it Jurassic Park related?
It's not in the Jurassic Park universe.
Okay.
But it is, however, related to an actor that is in Jurassic Park. So, we mentioned him before. I am taking us right back to... where's he gone? There he is. Right back to one of our favourites. I'm taking us back to Wayne Knight.
Okay, love Wayne Knight.
Now, I was perusing through his Wikipedia as we were speaking, especially Wayne Knight's Wikipedia. I was like, what films could I recommend? I was kind of going through, and I thought, okay, well, you got Space Jam. I recommended Space Jam before. I would have picked Space Jam. Already recommended it. I saw Rat Race, and I thought that's a great film.
Yeah,
can't remember if I recommended it either.
I watched Rat Race many times because we had Rat Race on DVD or something when I was a kid. I used to just watch it all the time.
I can't remember if I recommended that. And so it was between two Disney films. Because he appears in two of them. One is a cameo and one is an actual appearance. So I picked the one his actual appearance. So I'm going to recommend Tarzan.
Oh.
Because he's in Tarzan.
Okay.
He has a cameo in Hercules as a Demetrius. Right. But he is in Tarzan, plays Tantor, the big kind of like red elephant thing.
Yeah.
Tarzan's little buddy. But he has. I recommend Tarzan. It gives me an excuse to talk about Tarzan. I like Tarzan. Tarzan's a great film.
Yes.
It's just a really good film. If you're a fan of Disney.
For a second, I thought you were going to recommend Toy Story 2 there for a bit.
See, I was tempted.
Yeah.
And then I was tempted to recommend the Toy Story 2 video game.
Okay.
Because he's in that as well. On the PS1. It's a classic PS1 game.
And the fact that Wayne Knight looks exactly like the character that he plays in the film.
He does. That is a good point.
And also the picture that they've used on his...
What, his Wikipedia?
No. If you look up his character in Toy Story 2, the picture they've used for the article of Wayne Knight just looks like... I can't describe it. You may have to just see it for yourself.
Yeah.
I
mean... But
that is our weekly rate. Would you like to rate Tarzan?
Tarzan's really good. It's at least an 8.
Right.
I love Tarzan. There's one thing I love more than Tarzan.
Firm 8. What's that?
It's the soundtrack to Tarzan.
Okay.
Because everyone always goes with Disney and then goes, I don't know, like Hercules has got the best soundtrack, or Lion King. Elton John, great. He's got nothing on Phil Collins in Tarzan.
I do love a bit of Phil Collins. Easy Lover.
Yep. with the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Yeah.
Great, amazing songs.
But yeah, so I'd give it an 8. I feel like if I give Tarzan 8.5, I might get outraged for rating Hello Chair.
Yeah.
I've changed on English thing, I always do that. For giving Tarzan an 8.5, the same rating as Jurassic Park.
1993. So there you go.
I feel like I might get some. I thought, you know what? I'll give it an 8.5. Come at me.
Oh wow, double 8.5.
Come at me.
My goodness. Double 8. I think that's unprecedented to have the same rating as the film we're doing.
Yeah, I might be put on a stake for saying
Right,
that
okay.
Tarzan's the same as Jurassic
we'll
Park.
We'll see how the backlash rides next week, shall we? We're going to throw some more things at you here in June.
Yes.
Our full review of Obi-Wan Kenobi will be coming out.
Correct.
We'll be looking at some very interesting films over the next couple of weeks, so hope you'll get ready for that. But for now, we hope you enjoyed the real show. It's goodbye from me, goodbye, and a goodbye from Corey.
Goodbye.